tell me when my tell me when my 20 minutes is up,
20
and I'll
minutes.
just
Yeah.
I'll dive into my
Oh,
routine
got you.
and yeah, do the standard. So I'll just do my breathing and check in with my system and body. I was thinking of just maybe automatically doing a protector that I could think of, but I kind of want to go along with Schwartz's idea that trying to get to the exiles is kind of a more effective way, and letting the protector see if an exile can be unburdened, what that looks like. All right, I'm going to do some breathing. I'm going to ask my system stabilizer if it's all right too. Yeah, he's like, all right. He does want to tell me that I do have a little bit of a headache and do a little bit to a lack of sleep, but also juggling, a lot of juggling. And even shame, he says there's some shame happening there. It's my inner critic, I think, wanting me to do many things. But let me see if my explaining part can, yeah, so it's fine to give me some space. And so I can feel some pulsing all over my body, and then I have a bit of a headache. It's kind of it seems like a little bit of a less localized headache. It's kind of more global, but kind of like the whole of my brain is wanting to expand and it doesn't have enough room for it. But there's also sort of a clamping in my lower head and into my neck. Yeah. Some weakness and numbness in my arms and legs, and interestingly, my gut, I'm not used to this. There's a little bit of an ache in my gut. Uh, Kind of seems like lower beneath my navel, between my navel and my genitals, and but the clamping in the back of my neck is a bit stronger now with so I'm a little bit surprised that my gut isn't as achy as usual. I might think of that as a good sign, I guess, maybe because a lot of my exiles were there. And so the clamping in the back of my neck seems to be related to this type of neuroticism with work and relationships. And I guess it's perfectionism, wanting everything to be just so and just right. I had a meeting with my line manager this morning, and as soon as the meeting ended, it was a Zoom meeting. I felt this wave of imposter syndrome, like I'm pretending to be somebody. What's strange is that it seemed to be pretending to be myself, and I don't know. But there's always seems to be this looking for recognition and attention and doing things the right way so I don't get shamed. All right, and now my gut's activating a little bit more with the word shame. And I feel more pulsing throughout my body. Let me just, I'm going to try to find some space of calm and compassion and curiosity. I haven't done an IFS session in about, well, I did a little one on Wednesday, but it feels, my system actually sort of misses me. It's interesting. Maybe it's missing just a visit, a presence of self, a little visit from, yeah, my system kind of likes that. It does sort of, it's interesting. It's in, yeah, this is interesting. It feels calmer when I'm around or self is around when I'm attending to it. All of my parts, actually, my exiles and my protectors. And it seems to be my whole system just comes down a few, one or two or three notches when I'm attending to it. I've never had this feeling before. So there's still the clamping and headache. I'll just spend more time with that. So I think it's my juggling and worrier part. Let me see what I have to say. So I'm going on holiday next week. So there's that. I'm getting a new flatmate. So these are, I think these are justifiable reasons for concern and worry and wanting everything to unfold well. So I'm just going to validate these parts that this makes sense, that they'd be worried. And so there seems to be a little bit of anger there. Like they're kind of like, no shit. Like, yeah, we know there's a good reason to worry and be concerned. That's why we're doing it. Yeah, so I'm telling them that I hear them and I didn't mean to like state the obvious and to be somehow standoffish or paternalistic or dismissive or yeah, so they're appreciating that, but they're also asking like, where have I been? Yeah, I'm just affirming them. Yeah, they're right. Um, I've been too caught up. I've let myself, maybe because of poor time management skills, I've just gotten too caught up with things, letting things like the whirlwind of life just sort of, I've just let it, I've been taken away with it. Yeah, so they're sort of shifting energy and affirming me now. Actually, they're saying that's reasonable because they also get. So there's another part that's saying, yeah, no shit. So there's some sort of inner polarization here that, oh, I'm getting a sense there's a love-hate thing going on. There's this love-hate of challenges or change. There's excitement and fear. It's very Jungian, it's shadow type stuff. I'm gonna just check with these parts to see how they want to identify this polarization or what they think of it. My inner critic kind of doesn't like the idea. It partially likes it, but it feels like it's being shifted to one side of the polarization anyway. Similar with my juggling and worrying part, they feel like they're going to get shamed. So I'm letting these parts know that I hear them and it makes sense what they're saying. And that's not the intent of sort of this sort of exploration is not my intent to create sides. I'm going to see how that sits with them. Doesn't sit well with them. They're like, yeah, well, hell was paved with good intentions. It seems like we're being shifted to one side. So I'm just going to all right, so I'm going to see like what are these parts feeling? I'm going to all right, so these parts feel like they work really hard, like they feel like they work overtime, and then they get criticized and they say that they feel like Vietnam veterans. They come back from war and they get shamed for doing what they thought was something above and beyond the call of duty. So I'm letting them know that I hear that and I like the analogy. And I've often been polarized internally with that analogy myself, making sense of how a society could do that to its people. So I'm gonna just apologize, say I have great compassion now. I think for explaining that. I'm curious to see how they interact with people, other people. Yeah, so they're like people are just pawns. People are just objects of like a chess game. They don't, they're just players in somehow the drama of my life. They kind of don't like admitting that, but they said they've had to do that as a protective mechanism. Yeah. So how do they, I guess, what are they afraid of? I guess, what do they want from me? So they're like, we kind of been down the street before, and but they think it's maybe a good review. Yeah, they want me to be calm and happy and peaceful, and they want me to actually, they actually do want me to have good relationships with people. And they're saying if I somehow could calm my agenda, if I could actually practice more calm and confidence and curiosity, compassion, then they would feel they wouldn't have to be so protective. So I asked them how old they thought I was, and then I told them how old I was, and they're saying that's like we've been there before. That they're saying that it's time to, maybe putting the cart before the horse, or even the horse before the cart. Either one, like practicing calm and passion and create it, and then habitualize it. So they're saying now that they're feeling better, and if I want to visit this polarization idea, they're kind of cool with that. All right, so I feel like I just entered the realm of more exile territory. So I keep getting in this image of a stone cabin in some forest in France. I have my last exile left there. Well, he wanted to be there. So he likes being alone because he doesn't trust people. But he says he's open to trying. He says he feels like the fox in The Little Prince. All right, I hear that, so I'll start winding down. And that he's actually feeling more confidence and openness. And he says that it's because of me, like spending time with him and visiting him. He says I was like the relationship with the little prince, like I would visit and not have an agenda. And then he says when people have an agenda, it doesn't feel, it makes him guarded. And then he says too that he knows that he can have an agenda and he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to play the game that he doesn't like himself. It's like when I fight the monster, I become the monster. And so he knows I can only visit for a short while, and he appreciates the short while. And we're sharing a glass of water, cool glass of water, and we're saying goodbye. So I'll just do a quick recap and some thank yous um, with all those, especially my inner critic and worrier and juggler parts. And they're saying thanks back. All right, I'll see you in a minute or two. Cheers.